Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 5th day of June, 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. I hope your family's safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in health, along with first responders to save lives and improve lives. Blessings on those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that cause these industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, and senior citizens and military veterans homeless in the United States. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So the big news, as we all know by now, Tom Thibodeau was relieved of his duties earlier this week in the Knicks shakeup. They're now looking for a coach. There are, and we talked about this yesterday, very good candidates available, viable candidates. I said a couple of days ago, my top candidate was Ime Udoka, but then I was reading where Houston won't let him go, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to let the Knicks cook and see what they find. But there's certain qualities that our next coach is going to have for this team to be successful. There are things that each coach stresses. Not all coaches stress the same things. Tom Thibodeau stressed rebounding and defense. And of course, that makes sense, because if you can get stops, again, especially in the playoffs, if you can get stops, you pretty much can win the game. Getting stops is the name of the game in the playoffs. Rebounding helps you in terms of controlling the basketball and getting you more opportunities, especially offensive rebounding. Every coach in the NBA will stress something that they see as a strength already in their team. Why do I say that? Well, the Knicks have probably the top offensive rebounder in the NBA in Mitchell Robinson. So whoever is going to coach the Knicks is going to be paying close attention to how the Knicks perform on the offensive glass. Also, I was looking at the numbers of the Mitchell Robinson pairing with Karl-Anthony Towns as a whole. And even though it sounds titillating, using a big word, it didn't perform as well as you might have expected. Maybe if given more time, because, Mitch Rob missed most of the season with injury, maybe it will perform better. But when you combine the risk of injury with the performance, I would think there's a strong possibility that the next coach will bring Mitchell Robinson off the bench with Mobb Deep. I think that's a strong possibility. The next coach must stress defense. Cannot have a Mike D'Antoni or Mike No D'Antoni. See, you got to have some defense. I don't think that Don is going to bring in a coach that doesn't stress defense. And the candidates that we have discussed for Ime Udoka, Jason Kidd, Johnny Bryant. I don't know about Bryant because he's never been a head coach. But the other gentlemen that we mentioned do stress defense and do stress getting stops. So that will continue. That must be, it has to be going forward, a priority. Also, when you look at the Knicks roster in terms of what we know to be the starting five, they're not a team that stresses running. They do push the ball, but they're opportunistic. So if Josh Hart gets a rebound and looks up and sees he can sprint the length of the floor, he'll do it. If he can look up and see he can throw a pass and the ball flies quicker than men does, and so he can get the ball down, he'll do it. It's opportunistic, but it's not something they generally do. Now that might change with the next coach because I expect a 10-man rotation with the next coach. I'm pretty sure with all of the Menace Police controversy that went with Tom Thibodeau, I'm sure the next coach is aware of that. And that coach, whether it be Kidd or Udoka or Bryant, the next coach will run a 10-man rotation. And that means that you're going to have fresher legs longer, and you might want to run more if you can. But playoff time is a half-court game. Playoff time is about possessions. If it were football, it'd be time of possession, but it's possessions and execution, which means the next coach must stress ball control. I'm pretty sure they will. All NBA coaches understand that you cannot win in the league turning the ball over. So I bring that up to say, again, it's a copycat league. And it's a league that when they find they can beat you a certain way, they will keep coming at you that way until you figure out how to not allow them to beat you. I bring that up to say it has been determined. As you look at this past season, the Knicks can be attacked by attacking Jalen Brunson. If you attack Brunson full court and you keep putting pressure on him, you can slow the Knicks down and you can beat them. Okay? So Brunson, and we'll talk more about him, has to assess how to handle that. The next coach does also. So the next coach must stress defense, ball control, okay? So getting stops in ball control, offensive rebounding. If you look at the standings, and this is consistent, I've noticed this for many years. If you look at the standings in the league, it pretty much, I would say conservatively, 80% follows the order of placing follows the order of differential. It's pretty close. It's not exact science, but it's very close. So if you want to know the teams that are the top teams, look at the top differentials. So this year, for example, Cleveland had a 9.5 differential. They were the top team in the East. Differential was top in the East. Second was Boston, 9.1. Third was the Knicks, 4.1. Fourth was really Milwaukee, but they were in the 5th seed. And fifth was Indiana, and they were in the 4th seed. And we know that that was close between the two teams. And of course, the 6th was Detroit at 1.9. I expect Detroit to be even better this year, but now they're all experienced. So differential is very important. What is differential? It's the difference between what you score and what you give up. So the wider the gap between what you score and what you give up is a differential. And the bigger that differential, generally, the higher level the team. All teams in the playoffs, especially the two top sixes in the East and the West, are going to be different defensive-oriented teams. Detroit, Milwaukee, Indiana, New York, Boston, and Cleveland, defensive-oriented teams in the East. That's going to continue. And so the same in the West. Minnesota, the Clippers, Denver, Lakers, Houston, and of course, Oklahoma City, defensive-oriented teams. You cannot be a top team in the NBA without stressing defense. So our next coach is going to have to be able to stress defense, and he's going to have to know about what he's talking about defensively. And he's going to have to be able to get stops. Now, there's always those anal retentive people that love to mention that Karl-Anthony Towns has problems on defense. We already know that. And there are strategies that you can use to help Cat. Okay? He will need help. If anyone, and this is one of the things that is annoying about Knicks Nation and Knicks media. If you step back, as I do, and you look and listen to what they're actually saying, they're always expecting perfection. To expect perfection in sport is ridiculous and delusional. What you want to do is get as close to it as you can, and you want to be as close to it as you can in the most important categories. For example, getting stops. You're not going to be perfect, and if you were perfect, nobody would ever score on you. But it's the league. People do score, so people get beat. But you want to reduce the amount of times that happens. You want to eliminate certain areas. So it would be nice if we had 5 guys and 2 of them were Mitchell Robinson and 3 of them were OG Anunoby, right, on the defensive end. But that ain't going to happen. So you want to stress defense so that you get more stops than you get beat. Okay? Karl-Anthony Towns is an offensive player. He is not in the NBA because he plays defense. He's in the NBA because nobody in the NBA can guard him at 7 feet tall. He can shoot the ball. He can put it on the floor. He can hit all 3 levels. 3, mid-range, foul shot. He can go strong. Nobody can guard him. So you're going to have that. And you must take advantage of that. Which means he must be included offensively as much as possible. And you must not play him too heavy a minutes because it's going to cost you defensively. So what you want to do is you want to have Mitchell Robinson come in for him and play. So if Mitchell Robinson can get 25 minutes, whether it's starting or off the bench, that's going to be big. I'd like to see him come off the bench because I feel like his longevity, his availability in terms of playing an entire NBA season is enhanced by coming off the bench. Now, the best combinations the Knicks have had in the playoffs, 5-man combination, was OG, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, and Mitchell Robinson. They played 34 minutes together. They were plus 39. The second best combination is OG, Hart, Shamet, Towns, and Wright. So it seems like they played 20 minutes together with plus 34. So it seems like Towns performed well when paired with OG and 3 guards, which is Wright, Hart, and Shamet. 3 guards that play defense and don't need to have a lot of touches, which means he gets more touches. That's interesting, right? So I don't know. There's politics in the NBA. And in this regard, I'm not talking about refereeing, so don't worry about that. I'm talking about if you're paying a guy $60 million in a season to play basketball, he is going to start. If you're paying a guy $30 million per season to play basketball, he is going to start. Whether he actually fits in the starting unit or not, and the reason is, let's assume, for the sake of argument, the Knicks they're paying OG Anunoby $40 million plus a year. Let's say the next coach said, I think OG should come in the second unit. Do you realize the house he's going to get? That's why you got to have a guy that can also a necessity. He can handle New York. He's got to be able to, because there's no city that's louder negatively than New York. So you're going to have your same 5 starters. Well, I don't know if Hart will start or Robinson will start or Deuce McBride will start. I would not be surprised if Deuce McBride did start, but that would also depend on who the coach is. So you could, their best lineup included McBride. In fact, all of their best lineups include McBride. All their best lineups include McBride. The best 4-man combination for this season was Bridges, McBride, Payne, and Towns. That's the best combination this year for a 4-man combination. Their best 5-man combination was Towns, McBride, Hart, Brunson, and Anunoby. Their second best combination this season was Towns, McBride, Payne, Bridges, and Anunoby. Of the ones that played the most minutes, which Towns, the regular starting five with Hart, plus 2.9. Okay, that's not great. 100 minutes was Payne with Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns. And then, of course, I mentioned the best one was 84 minutes together with McBride, Towns, Hart, Brunson, and Anunoby. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Deuce in the starting lineup this coming season because of his effect on the unit. They just play better when he's out on the floor for extended minutes. So again, the best four-man combination this year was Towns, Payne, McBride, and Bridges. And yeah, so he shows up in a lot of positive outcomes. And like if you were to get a Johnny Bryant as your head coach, the younger coaches like Bryant are more into analytics than the older coaches. All coaches look at analytics. Don't get it twisted. But the younger coaches are more into analytics. They really follow them more than the older guys. And so Johnny Bryant would be looking at that. Okay. So, yeah. The next coach has to stress defense, ball control. He has to come up with game plans to protect Jason Brunson when they're coming at him 94 feet in waves, or when they send Asar Thompson or Dyson Daniels or Aaron Nesmith at him. You have to have some plan for that. He can't be trying to fight those guys by himself. He has to let the game come to him and not force it, because the game plan would be create turnovers from the Knicks. One of the goals should be to be one of the lowest turnover teams in the NBA. Now, that's going to affect pace. And then you're going to have all the negative Nellies about pace. Pace don't mean crap if you're winning. If you control the basketball and you're winning, pace don't mean nothing. One thing I know you're going to get from any of these three coaches, spacing. You're going to have spacing offensively. You're going to get a focus on defense. You're going to get a focus on controlling the basketball and offensive rebounding. Any coach they hire must have this. Okay? So that we'll see. And just as important as all the things I just said, the coach that comes in must have the respect of the players. Now, the respect of Jalen Brunson goes a long way to that. Jalen Brunson's the captain in more ways than one. Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable with respect to that. Okay? We saw what happened on the bench. That was Towns running his mouth, but Brunson answered him. And that's why anybody questioning whether Rick Brunson is going to be on the coaching staff, y'all need to really pay attention. Jalen Brunson's the captain. He's the leader. He's the vocal leader. You want to keep him happy, you better keep his daddy here. I don't think that's going to even take any thought. Rick Brunson is going to be here. Okay? So, I don't care what the rumors are or whatever. If Jalen Brunson is here, his daddy is here. And if that's the case, he's going to be the voice for the coach with the team. Very important. And if they're winning, that's going to be an easier job than if they're losing. We all, as Knick Nation, we're hoping that they'll be winning. They have the talent to do that. We just need the right coach. And like I said, all of the guys we mentioned, whether it's Ime Udoka, Johnny Bryant, Jason Kidd, or even Michael Malone, any of those guys can take this roster to the championship. Any of those guys. So the only questionable one is Johnny Bryant. And that's only because he's never been a head coach. He's been an assistant coach under some great coaches, Quinn Snyder, Tom Thibodeau, Kenny Atkinson. He's been an assistant coach, or associate head if you want to give him the title, whatever. But other than that, the other three guys, you give any of the guys the keys to this Benz, and they'll be flowing with it. They'll be flowing with it. Okay? So I'm sure the Knicks are going to be thorough, as they always are, in their coaching search. I am sure they're going to be diligent, as they always are, in picking a coach. And so I'm very confident we're going to be in good hands in the 25-26 season. And I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, as we all are. Next thing is the draft and, of course, free agency. None of that should really affect the Knicks. At this point, with the second apron being what it is, the Knicks are really looking at minimum salaried players. There's only but so much talent you can get on a minimum salary. Okay, they're not going to be able to bring in a $15 million a year guy, or even a $12 million a year guy, because they don't have the money. So you're going to have to work with what you got, which is plenty. You know, we shouldn't be complaining. And he's got plenty of depth and talent to work with, which is why I feel like you'll see Landry Shamet and you should see DeLon Wright again, because that just adds to the depth. And I want to see, it's going to be very important this summer to see especially two players that I feel are going to make an impact or can make a positive impact next year, going all the way through the season and into the playoffs. That would be Ariel Hukporti and MarJon Beauchamp. Yeah, those guys. MarJon is 6'7". We'll talk more about him. 6'7", defensive-oriented, strong boy, young. He would have done good under Thibs. I think you bring in a Brian, who is a natural-looking teacher, he would do good there too. So we'll see. But those two guys, and again, small contracts that you can use in your rotation. That's what it looks. People say, well, we need, and people like to do it like this. I don't know. Y'all like to copycat some of these untalented writers. I'll put it that way. So we need a wing that can play defense and get his own shot. Oh, come on, man. This is the league. Whatever you get is going to cost you. The Knicks ain't got no money. We got guys already, though. We need Alvarado. Jose Alvarado. Listen, man. That's what I'm saying. When you do stuff like that, you are disrespecting the roster. So you're telling Deuce McBride you're not good enough. I'd be pissed. So we got what we need. We just need a coach that knows how to take these ingredients and make a delicious meal. You all enjoy your Thursday. Shalom.